I tell you, the time has just flown by with joel-skousen joining us today. And Jeannie was bringing up the unemployment statistics. Most economists agree it's over 22%. So much of what they're doing skewed. But that was one of my final questions for joel-skousen. What is your take on these cooked numbers?
Well, they're absolutely cooked. For example, she mentioned that they admitted to her that the construction unemployment rate was 15%. It's over 30% in the construction industry. And that's being very generous. I mean, literally, anybody. I've got a son in the construction industry, and there's only 25% that he can find that have jobs remaining. And if it weren't for, of course, all of the stimulus money flowing out, there wouldn't be a lot of construction in the major road crews, which are pretty full right now because of the stimulus money.
But you see an ongoing rotting, though. You don't see it plunging. You see it rotting.
That's right. I do not believe that it's in the best interest of the establishment to let this thing fall. That would only engender a great deal of mechanism to have change, and they don't want that. They want people to stay the course. I think they've got a tremendous amount of ability to inflate still. You've got to remember that we've got a basis of over $200 trillion that have been monetized so far. So the $3 trillion they threw at the bailout was only 1.5% inflation of the money supply. That's not hyperinflation. I spent this entire week's World Affairs Brief explaining to people why it's almost impossible to have hyperinflation without the structure in the government to inject money directly into the pocketbooks of consumers, which we don't have. They did it twice now with stimulus bills of $180 billion, and it was directly inflationary. But to get to hyperinflation, you've got to have that going on every single month in increasing exponential.
But we are starting to go down that road.
Well, the injection is happening in what I call the speculative economy. That's the one that are getting the injections from, and that's not particularly inflationary because there's only about a 20% overlap with the real economy.
That's right. So the ultra-rich are sucking up most of this while propping up their system.
And they're speculating, or they're running in the Forex and the commodities and the derivatives markets and spending that money and earning 5 to 15% on it, whereas we're stuck in the real economy making 1.5%.
And that's why they want carbon taxes. That's why all the big banks fund those.
Exactly.
Because it's the false economy waging war against the real economy. Jeannie, I'm sorry it's so tough on you. They want to use poverty as a tool of control, and we've got to get this economy going again, and then we can only do that by cutting taxes and cutting defense spending and cutting welfare. But I'm glad to hear your husband got a job, Jeannie.
Thank you, and I just want people to know in the world that people are still hurting. I mean, I'm actually collecting unemployment. I have a job, but they cut hours. The check I have coming on the 8th has 14 hours on it. So I want people to know I called this bureau because I didn't feel it was honest, and people like my husband weren't being counted. And I'm just sick of it.
You heard Joel, and I've seen those numbers as well. Over 30% for construction workers. God bless you. One last call quickly for joel-skousen. Paul in Ohio, you're on the air.
Yeah, this is Paul from Ohio, and I just wanted to tell you that fluoride's pretty bad, but fluoride withdrawal is even worse, Alex. I lived through it, and I just had a relative that just lived through it, and they've got a weapon there. All they got to do is take the fluoride out of the water, and you're going to have a lot of crazy people. What do you think of that?
I appreciate your call. Joel, I never got to that, but have you seen all these Rockefeller Foundation documents where they admit they developed vaccines to sterilize people, and now they're on the news promoting lithium in the water to make us submit? What's your view on that?
Well, there's a real backlash against fluoride now in the water supply. I don't think they're going to get to the point of putting mood-altering drugs into the water supply. But, you can't really trust what they do. Even the chlorine is bad for people, especially in the heavy doses they put it in to make sure that they do shock treatments on it. Frankly, I don't think anybody ought to be drinking the public water supply.
I totally agree with you. WorldAffairsBrief.com. You've got a new one coming out in 2 days. Folks can go there and subscribe. Joel-skousen, thanks for spending close to 2.5 hours with us. I'm going to give you a call a little bit later today about some research we're working on together. I really appreciate your insight and you spending time with us.
Likewise, Alex. Always a pleasure.
God bless you. We're going to go to break here in a moment and come back with rebroadcast where I was getting into the economy and a host of other issues. But I do want to spend 1 minute here at the end of the live transmission to tell folks that I've got a deal going until the beginning of next week, and then we're going to cut this deal off, where you can get 5 of the films I've made or produced or appear in for $9.95. Folks, I bought these for $6 a piece. How Weed Won the West, about the phony drug war, Terror Storm, American Dictators, Reflections and Warnings with Aaron Russo, Fabled Enemies, Jason Burmis, very powerful 9/11 film. 5 films, $9.95. I'm losing a lot of money, but I want these out to you. Get them at Infowars.com. Get a PrisonPlanet.tv membership to support us. The T-shirts, all of it. We couldn't do it without you. God bless you all. Great job, crew.